Hello and a very good evening to all of you. I'm Sheetal, your verbal teacher here at Hitbullseye, and today I will be discussing one topic with you which is very common in MBA entrance exams, and yes, it is there in your CAT exam also and has quite some weightage in that exam. But often students find this particular topic to be very tricky. The questions that come from it, they find it a little bit difficult to do these questions. So we are going to discuss this question type, which is SR, that is sentence rearrangement, which you also call para jumbles. So we will discuss what this topic is, what kind of questions do you get under the para jumbles or sentence rearrangement category, and what actually makes it so difficult. So if you know the problem, if you know the root of it, then you will be able to find out or devise a strategy to deal with these questions. That is what the purpose of this live is. So stay tuned till the last because this is going to be really helpful for you for your upcoming CAT exam or other MBA entrance exams also, like your ZAT, SNAP, IIFT and all the other exams. So let's today see how to solve para jumble questions. Now, first of all, tell me, want to score good in this particular section and you find them tricky, these particular questions. Isn't that true? That's what I get from all my students that, ma'am, though SR has no negative marking and it is such an alluring uh, option to go for, but still we lose a lot of time, not just time, we lose a lot of marks also here. So if you look at the pattern of the CAT exam, you get your three sections, quant, DI, and verbal. So in total, 66 questions. From your VARC, which carries maximum weightage out of these 66 questions, you get 24 questions. Now let's see how many questions do you get from different areas of the verbal section, verbal ability section. You will get 16 questions of RC, 4 RCs, 4 questions each. From sentence rearrangement, you will get 3 questions. From misfit, so earlier we used to have misfit question, but the last time we had a fill in the blank kind of question or fit the sentence into the paragraph. So we do not know what kind of question they might ask us this time, but let's just keep it like this only. So 2 questions from this area, and from your para summary, you had 3 questions. So today I will be discussing this particular subject area with you, that is sentence rearrangement. These 5 questions are theta questions, type and typeable answer for which you get no option and therefore no negative marking. It completely depends upon you what kind of order are you guessing and putting in the column which will be given to you. You will be able to type your answer. As in, let's say you had 5 sentences and you decided that the order is E, C, B, A and D. So you'll have to type this as it is in the given column. So why is this section, particularly this section, is so tricky? Let's see. So why are these questions tricky? One, because first, they are based on diverse topics. We all come from different subject area, different specialization. Let's say there is a student who's from science background, science and technology, let's say a BTech student or a BSc student. And then he gets a passage from the commerce section or sentence rearrangement based on some involving a lot of business jargon, let's say, or probably legal studies or something based on psychology and philosophy. Now, science student would always rely on given facts, right? Something that can be proven. And philosophy and psychology, they'll have a lot of vague ideas, imagination, far-fetched similes and metaphors kind of thing. It will become difficult for that student. So we need to convince ourselves for one thing, there is going to be a mixed lot of students who want to go for this MBA exam. And these MBA people, they are also looking for a diversity in their course, student from diverse background. It becomes our responsibility that before the exam, we are exposing ourselves to different subject areas, as simple as that. That is why I always tell you, be it your sentence rearrangement, be it your RCs or your para completion, for all of these questions, the nature is that of the RCs. And it's important that you start studying now. You start reading now. Form a habit of reading. Otherwise, while the exam, in those 40 minutes, when you have to read 4 RCs also, you have to do 3 para summaries also, you have to do 3 SR also, you will be mentally drained if you're not prepared for that. It's not impossible. It's just that you need to develop that habit of reading daily. Start with half an hour, extend till 1 hour. Try to cover up 2 to 3 articles or diverse topics daily. It can be newspaper editorials, it can be fiction, it can be articles, it can be novella, a short story, anything. It can be a blog also. It's just that you're reading something daily, you are learning new words, you are exposing yourself to different subject areas. Vocabulary and jargon poses difficulty. Now, often in sentence rearrangement question, there are terminology which become very difficult for us to understand. If you're not able to understand that terminology, those words, you won't be able to understand the sentence. If you did not understand the sentence, how will you decide its order? You see? So we have to anticipate the order according to the author and not ourselves. This is something very important which we all, let's say, ignore this particular point. We all underestimate this point. And what is it? See, whenever there is a sentence rearrangement question, yes, it tests your logical understanding, your analytical power to comprehend a given piece. But you need to understand one thing. Here, they are not asking or they are not testing your writing skill, they're simply testing your analytical skill. How well are you able to understand how many types of writing styles are there? What is this particular author thinking? What kind of thought process is there throughout this particular passage? That is what you have to guess. So you have to guess the order and every succeeding line according to the author. You'll have to decipher, decode his thought process, his mind, and then go about to do that answer. So that acceptance needs to be there. Convince yourself that while you are doing these particular question sentence rearrangement, your emotions, your characteristics, your personal views and perception, you need to keep it aside and you need to convince yourself according to the writer's writing style. So decode the writing style. One, is it an argumentative kind of passage? Or is it something persuasive? Is it simply narrative? Is it something very instructive or didactic? So there are different types of writing style. That is also something you need to decode. If it's argumentative, you will find there are contradictory sentences, one after the other, countering the same point. Need to look for the keywords. Now, this is the best option. This is our, you can say, this is going to be the best friend with you in the sentence rearrangement questions. You need to find out linking keywords between different sentences to form pairs. Probably there will be two sentences talking about the same thing. It can be an extension of the same idea. It can be a contradiction of that particular idea. Form a pair of those sentences and write them aside before deciding the order. Now, importance of this particular section. So we often think that this is a very tricky section, this is a very tricky question type. I won't go for this one, therefore I'm not going to prepare for it. But is it escapable? No, trust me, it's not. So I've already told you what kind of questions do you get in the exam in the verbal section. If you are practicing sentence rearrangement question, you are polishing your skills of comprehension. Trust me, it will help you with the RCs also. It will help you with para summary also. It will help you with the new question type that we saw in this CAT exam, wherein you had to fit a sentence into a particular passage. What do you think? What is that? That is also testing your sentence rearrangement ability. In a paragraph, 3 to 4 to 5 blanks at different spots will be given to you, and they are testing your comprehensive power to understand where can I fit this sentence into this paragraph. That is also sentence rearrangement. So by not practicing this section, you are jeopardizing many more areas of verbal ability. So we need to understand that it's our duty when we are preparing for these exams that we at least practice enough questions of sentence rearrangement and para jumble. And they're actually very interesting once we start getting it. So let's learn some foolproof tricks to solve SR and para jumbles. And I am telling this to you with my own experience. These are the simple things you need to keep in mind while doing the SR questions, right? First step is simply understand the story concept in it. That's it. Simply go through all the sentences, whatever order they are given in. You will find a recurring theme there. You will find some kind of thing is being discussed in almost all the sentences. So just understand the story as in what is being talked about here. That's it. A simple impression, the first impression. Step 2 is you have to guess three things now. You have to guess the subject area. One, as in, is it from the anthropology section? Is it something from the history, from business world, economics, or is it from something science and technology? Guess the subject area. After that, you have to guess the theme and the main idea. Now, you already know, let's say it's talking about increasing population in India. When I say theme or main idea, you have to understand throughout these lines, is the author uh, praising it, criticizing it, is he being neutral, simply giving you different perspective? So you have to understand the author's take towards it. You have to understand what is his inclination towards the topic, how is he concluding it. And lastly, tone. Now, why is tone so important? If there are 5 sentences, 4 of them are praising the particular topic or the theme, would the fifth sentence go against it? Would the fifth sentence be a contradictory one? Well, most probably it will not be, unless until there is a key word like however, yet, or this kind of words, though. If you have a thought reverser word before a sentence, then definitely it's a thought reverser kind of sentence. Well, no worries. I am going to give you certain examples also. We will be learning all this with the examples also. If you find it difficult, you may watch the video again. It is beneficial. Trust me, it will help you solve these particular questions. So after guessing these three things by, approaching the sentence rearrangement question by a bird's eye view, then we will move on to step 3, which is understand the flow of thought. Obviously, a writer would not start anything in between, in medias res or impromptu. He will definitely introduce the topic to you. You will get a general kind of idea by the first sentence, and then you will move on to further description of the same thing. Step 4 is connect the stream of ideas. It will help you find out different pairs. So there are ideas presented in each and every sentence. Read all the sentences, find out the ideas that are prevalent in those sentences, and then see, are there any two sentences which are almost talking about the same idea? They will form a pair. So write down the pairs aside. After that, guess the opening and the closing sentence. Your opening sentence has certain characteristics. I have already made a video of sentence rearrangement before this. You can go and watch that also, in which I have explained it in detail how to identify the opening sentence. Now, an opening sentence would be a general kind of sentence. After reading that sentence, you won't feel like there should be something before this, or I am not able to understand this sentence. So it will introduce you to the topic, the concept that will be discussed in that passage. One. Second thing is, it will most probably use a proper noun or a name. It will not start with a pronoun because we need to understand what the antecedent is. If it's saying he, who is this he? So opening sentence would most probably use nouns and present a general idea. Step number 5 is anticipate the order and confirm the answer from the option. Now you've guessed the opening sentence, you've guessed the closing sentence also. So closing sentence would be something concluding, or it would be starting with some keywords like however, or therefore, or lastly, finally, something like that. So after this, try to put all those pairs also, the opening sentence also, the closing sentence also. You will get a pattern. If you have options in your exam like you have in XAT exam, then you can tally it from there. You can confirm it from those. But in CAT exam, you don't get options for these questions. So what should be our strategy for the CAT exam? You should quickly go through the SR question once. If you find it's very easy and obvious, the order, then you can devote time to it. Otherwise, I would suggest be very smart and judicious with the time you are employing for, different question types and areas. Now, this is something that you can remember, this particular technique of approaching these questions. The acronym is STOP AC, though it's time of starting AC now, but it is for sentence rearrangement questions. Now, STOP AC technique stands for S is for the subject area. You guess the subject area of the sentences. You guess the recurrent theme that is prevalent in all the sentences. You guess the opening sentence after that. You form certain pairs and keep them aside. Anticipate the order on your own once, and then if there are options, you can confirm it from the option. So STOP AC stands for this. You can remember this acronym. It will be helpful for you to deal with these questions. Right, let's start with the examples now. You have an example before you. Let's see how will you approach this, and then I'll be telling you from my point of view how would I have done this. Quickly go through this, anticipate the order, and write it down in the chat box. If you are watching the video afterwards, you can pause the video and try to do it on your own first. Well, this is the first one. So let me do this one for you. If we read all the sentences, the first one says, African bushmen are being given computers so that they can use their skill at tracking wild animals to take part in a project that will help conservation and tourism. So what is the subject area here? And what is the theme here? So we can say the theme is equipping African bushmen with computers, right? That's it. That's the theme or the main idea. So even when you read the rest of the sentences, you will be able to confirm that yes, the same thing is being talked about. The project is being run by, so which project? Equipping the African bushmen with the equipment, that is computer. The project is being run by this person, a South African tracking expert who has teamed up with Lindsay Stevenson and a computer expert. He is C talks about the computers known as cyber tracker can then be taken to a base and the information downloaded onto PC. So when I say keywords, what are those keywords? You have a keyword here. If you write then in a sentence, obviously there should be something preceding it. So now you have to think what sentence should be preceding this sentence, right? And the last one says they are equipping bushmen with handheld Palm Pilot computers so that they can record sightings of animals in the wild. This is also simply explaining the same project. So what should be the opening sentence? The one which is very general, which has noun. Now, this has a pronoun they, and we do not know who this they is referring to. So this cannot be the opening sentence. Right. This also cannot be the opening sentence because it has this keyword then, which states that something should be preceding it. So we are left with two. The project is being run by. Which project? Have they mentioned the project in the second sentence? No, right? So now it's so obvious that this should be the first sentence, which is introducing us to the topic. Then comes this one because it further explains the same project as in who is handling it and who has he teamed up with. The idea is further explained, carried forward by the D, as in what are they actually going to do? They're actually going to give the Bushmen handheld Palm Pilot computers so that they can record all the sightings they see when they are on the ground, in the jungle or anywhere. Only after they have recorded the sightings, only then they would come to the base and download the information. So see, there is a thought process, there is a sequence. Obviously, they cannot first download the information and then go to the field to record the sightings. No, there should be a chronology of things, right? This becomes our last sentence. I hope this one is clear. Let's move on to the next question. So first, the answer should be first one, A, B, D, and C. C was talking about downloading the recorded sightseeings, whatever they had. Now, the next question is this. Again, four option, an easy question. Quickly go through this and tell me what should be the right answer to this one. Let's see who's going to answer this one. Quickly go through this one and let me know the answer. Okay, let's see what are these sentences talking about. Like a layman, we will simply approach these sentences and understand what is the story brewing behind it, right? So let's see the first sentence. With the advent of satellites, however, scientists have finally been able to measure the sun's output without being impeded by the Earth's atmosphere. So, Earth's atmosphere somehow impedes scientists from calculating about the sun's output, right? But this particular sentence is saying that we have been successful at it now. So, another keyword, however. However suggests as if something has happened before this, which is quite contrary to it. So even after, so many hurdles, however, we are still able to count the sun's solar constant or whatever they are looking for. We'll get to know after reading the rest of the sentences. For 150 years, scientists have tried to determine the solar constant, the amount of solar energy that reaches the Earth. Isn't that a very general and opening kind of sentence which is introducing to us that the thing being discussed in this particular passage is scientists trying to guess the solar constant? So this should be the first sentence. Moreover, it's talking about how many years we've been trying to do this now. This was A was saying that now we have finally been able to, we are finally successful at doing so. So obviously this is going to be the last sentence and this is the opening sentence. Now, after this comes D. Yet, even in the most cloud-free regions of the planet, the solar constant cannot be measured precisely. So this is a thought reverser. It's a pair. B and D form a pair. B talks about that we have been making honest effort for 150 years now to calculate the solar constant. And then D says, yet, मतलब फिर भी, अभी तक भी हम cloud free regions में भी solar constant को calculate नहीं कर पाए. So it's a thought reverser from B to D. So then we are only left with C, which is gas molecules and dust particles in the atmosphere absorb and scatter sunlight and prevent some wavelength of light from ever reaching the ground. Now, this particular point C is further explaining us that why haven't we been successful at calculating the solar constant? This is explaining it. So, it's further extension of D. So, you can say D and C are also forming a pair. Now, C and A is also forming a pair because now A is justifying and concluding the passage that with the advent of satellites, however, scientists have finally, as in it was really difficult, we were trying for so long, finally we are now able to measure the sun's output without being impeded by the atmosphere, Earth's atmosphere, which was explained here, that what were the problems or the hurdles to calculate the constant. I hope the order is now clear. It should be B, D, C, and A. So, see, is it that difficult? We just need to work a little smart, and yes, we need to practice a lot of questions with a lot of patience, and then you will be able to do these questions. Rearrange the following. We have another example now. For a great many students, there come a moment in the first year when, often for the first time in their lives, they wonder quite seriously whether they will fail. Is this sentence giving us any information? One, which course are they talking about? Why would they think that we will fail? So there should be some positive note. If a writer is writing something, wouldn't he be starting with a positive note? Think of this now. It is the year of new faces. It is a pronoun, right? So, would we use such a pronoun in the opening sentence? We first need to know कि ये it किसके लिए use हुआ है. At any business school, the first year is the year of drama. Now, this seems convincing. This can be an option for the opening sentence because ये सेंटेंस हमें बता रहा है कि किसी भी बिजनेस स्कूल के लिए फर्स्ट ईयर बहुत ही ड्रामेटिक होता है. It is also the year of loneliness. Another keyword, friends, also means something should be preceding it, something should come before it. In writing about my experiences at Stanford, I confine myself to the first year of 2-year MBA program. Now, this is an apt opening sentence. ये sentence हमें बता रहा है that writer is directly talking to you, to the listeners or the readers, that when I am writing about this experience, probably it's, you can say, autobiography kind of thing. So another writing style is important. Now you know it's autobiographical, this passage. So you will know that first of all, the writer is going to introduce about himself. He'll introduce himself. So he is saying that when I'm writing about my experience, listen, my study or my writing, it's confined to only 2-year MBA program, not any other program, not the BTech, BSc, BA humanities program. My study or my writing is confined to the 2-year MBA program. It's an opening sentence. Then comes this sentence which talks about business school. Be it any business school, first year is full of drama for everyone. This should be the second year. Now, starting it with a positive note, let's accept this. Any writer, any author would not start it at a negative note. It's understandable. So, it is the year of new faces and new surroundings. Another general kind of sentence, and we have justified this it also. This it is first year of business school, the year of business school. What should come after this? Should it be D or should it be F? So, would you directly talk about failing? Would you directly talk about a moment when you feel we will fail? No, not. So, there should be a swift transition from being very excited in the first year towards sometime feeling insecure. So, there should be a swift transition, not abrupt one. So, which one should be the fourth sentence? D. That it is also the year of loneliness. First, you say it's an year of new faces, too many faces and too many people. But at the same time, it's also an year of loneliness and self doubt. And then you go on to explain this self doubt in the first sentence. So, this become our fifth sentence. So, the order should be E, C, B, D, and A. I hope I've justified explaining this answer. If you still have a doubt, you may write it in the comment box. I'll be more than glad to explain it again. Right, let's now see an actual question of the CAT exam from last year's paper, slot 1, so that you get some idea what kind of questions do we get. Now, this is a question from actual CAT 2022, slot 1. The creative element, now try to understand it. It's a bit tricky, obviously, because it's CAT exam level. The creative element is product design. In product design has become of paramount importance as it is one of the few ways a firm or industry can sustain a competitive advantage over its rival. So what is it talking about? Within reading the first sentence itself, we got to know another same word, creative element, creative industry. So one thing is common in these sentences. They are talking about introducing a creative element into your product just to make your product more appealing for the audience. So this particular passage is talking about creativity in designing, in selling your product, how you make it different, how you make it more appealing for the audience. Second says, in fact, the creative element. Would an opening sentence start with in fact? Have they mentioned anything before this? No. So how can we directly say in fact? So this is not going to be the opening sentence. The creative industry is receiving a lot of attention today as its growth rate is faster than that of the world economy as a whole. Now this is an appropriate opening sentence because this sentence introduces us with the topic that creative industry. So when we say creative industry, it can be creativity or creative designing in any field. So creative industry is receiving a lot of attention today as its growth rate is faster than that of the world economy as a whole. If you compare it to the whole world economy, it's greater than that, right? So if you read the last sentence, last is, it is for this reason that today's trade issues are increasingly involving intellectual property. Now, it's a bit comprehensive. Let's leave it for now. let me show you the keyword here or the linking word. When I told you, you should look for keyword to make the pair. So there is a pair here. Now, when we guess that this is a general kind of sentence introducing us to the topic, it has a broader perspective because it's comparing the creative industry to the whole world economy. So usually when we approach the sentence rearrangement question, you approach the broader perspective sentences first and then you narrow down. So this should be the opening sentence. It's comparing the creative industry to world economy. World industry again is being discussed in this sentence, second one. So this should be the second sentence, right? Now comes the creative element in product design has become a paramount importance as it is one of the few ways a firm or industry can sustain competitive advantage over the other. Now this further explains these 2 points that why have creative industry gained so much of popularity. It is explaining it. Now, finally, we are concluding it that it is for this particular reason that today's trade issues are increasingly involving intellectual property. Now, a company has different assets. Here we are talking about the intellectual one, which is your ability to design, your ability to be creative while designing, as Western countries have an interest in protecting the revenues along with freeing trade in non-tangibles. Now, what are non-tangible? Tangible is something which you can touch, touchable. Non-tangible is things that you cannot touch. So this particular thing, being creative, is not a physical aspect. You cannot touch it. It is non-tangible. And now today, the global industry, they are investing in it and they are thinking of every aspect how they can protect it. So this is what the order should be. So C, B, A and D should be the right order. I hope you did understand these sentences. If you want, I can come up with more such SR practice question from the actual CAT exam. If you want it, you may write it in the chat box. We'll come up with the same thing in the next live also. Or otherwise, what I'm going to do in the next live is I'm going to give you or practice with you certain new kind of question. The third category of the CAT exam that we saw last time from the verbal section, which was wherein you had to fit a sentence into a paragraph. We will be discussing it, all the details. We will understand its concept. We will understand what kind of skills do we need to have for those questions, and we will practice certain questions regarding it. And it's going to be very beneficial for all of you. So I'm pleading you should all be watching it. It's for your own good. So stay tuned to our channel if you want to be updated with all the new types of questions that you see in the CAT exam or other non-MBA exams also. If you like the video, do not forget to like, share and subscribe it with your friends. Let them also benefit from it. Until then, keep smiling, keep shining and keep studying. Thank you.